Lowery, take it away. It's all yours.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to start this session by sharing a little bit about my story. And then I have recorded a physical movement session in my backyard for you this morning that you can follow along with. It's only 20 minutes. And then afterwards, I'll do a Q&A. So you can ask me anything and I'll answer to the best of my ability. So let me share my screen. Okay, so I am Dr. Heather Lowery, and my session is on physical movement and well-being. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about who I am, and it makes me think of Chris this morning when he was talking about who we are and trying to separate it from context. Well, this is all context, I realize. So I'm a Christ follower. I love the Lord, and from that, everything else follows. I'm a wife. I've been married for 17 years. I'm a mother of 3. My oldest is 18. My daughter is 15, and my son is 8. My youngest is 8. I'm a teacher. I teach English as a second language in East Tennessee. I teach 6th through 12th grade, so that's really fun. I get to follow my students from 6th grade all the way to graduation. I am a recent PhD graduate. My dissertation was a phenomenological study of Latino EL students' educational experiences, and it was very eye-opening. Also, who am I? All of these roles were conflicting during the process of writing my dissertation and getting my PhD. There was just not enough time, I felt. And I had also glorified busy. So I had filled up my schedule with something to do from the time I wake up to the time I go to bed, and I was exhausted. So this is me. On the left, that was March 2019. All of that glorification of busy led to me not taking care of myself or loving myself well. And on the right, that's me, April 2020. So I included this quote from Rumi. It says, "Your task is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find all the barriers within yourself that you have built against it." And so thinking back to what Chris said this morning, wow, it opens up even more for me than I wanted to say. The barriers that we put up to realize how much God loves us. The barriers that we put up to realize that we need to love ourselves. It's so easy to love others around us, I think, more than it is to see that God loves us unconditionally and that we need to love ourselves that way also. So we get put on the back burner. Myself, I did. So well-being, I've defined as loving yourself well, whatever that means, and taking care of the body that God gave you spiritually, mentally, and physically. So physical movement for me has been yoga. It might be something different for you. Find something that you love that doesn't feel like you're punishing yourself. So physical movement has many benefits, no matter which kind that you do. The immediate benefits are improved thinking or cognition, which is really good when you're trying to write your dissertation. You come up on a mental block, you can take a break and do some physical activity, and then a lot of times that'll get the creative juices flowing. Also reduce short-term feelings of anxiety. I don't know about you all, but when you have all of those roles to juggle and all of these things to do, a feeling of anxiety can come up a lot. Long-term benefits are that it can help you with your thinking, learning, and judgment skills and keep them sharp as you age. It can also reduce your risk of depression and anxiety long-term, help you sleep better, aid with weight management, and reduce health risks for cardiovascular disease, diabetes, etc. Before I started my well-being journey, I had terrible blood work. My cholesterol was going up. My blood sugar was going up to pre-diabetes level, all kinds of things. But when I decided to take the time to love myself and to do something that was good for my well-being, I saw all of those numbers fall. So my cholesterol is in a good range right now. I don't have a risk for diabetes, etc. Okay, so now I am going to share the video that I made this morning. Tell me if you can see it. I don't know if you can see it. Hold on. New share. All right. So like I said before, this is meant to be interactive for you to do these postures. If you don't want me to see it, you can turn your video off. You don't need any special equipment. Just get down low to the ground on something comfy, a blanket or a pillow, and yeah, have fun. Everything is seated, so nothing's going to be painful or twisty or bendy.
Hey, Heather, you'll need to make sure to click share computer sound
Okay.
On that share screen dialog for us to be able to hear what's said in the video.
Sharing. It didn't ask me that. Hold on. Let me stop share and then do it again and see if it will. Oh, I see it now.
Yep, just make sure that box is checked.
Thank you.
During my slotted time frame, it's supposed to storm here in East Tennessee. You wouldn't know it by the sunshine right now, but I didn't want to risk it. So I'm going to record this practice for you while outside. Hopefully you enjoy the sounds of the birds and maybe the random cars driving by. All right, so what I'm going to teach you first are 3 breathing techniques that will help you calm down and to ground yourself when you're feeling stressed out, whether it's about writing or whether it's about juggling all of your multiple roles during this pandemic while working at home and trying to finish a dissertation, etc. The first breathing technique is called ocean breath, or otherwise known as Darth Vader breath. It's because you are making the breath swirl in the back of your throat. You can think of it as the sound of waves or as a sound of Darth Vader breathing. So it sounds like this. And you will notice that you do not open your mouth. So we're going to do that on our own with 3 breath cycles. Breath cycles are the inhale and the exhale. Ready? Let's breathe. Okay, the second breathing technique that I'm going to teach you is called equal parts breathing. That's because you breathe for an equal amount of time on the inhale, you pause for an equal amount of time, and then you exhale an equal amount of time as the inhale, and then pause again. For example, this is how it goes. Inhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pause, 1, 2. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pause, 1, 2. And then you just keep doing that for at least 3 breath cycles. So we're going to do it on our own. We're going to count to 4, pause for 2, count for 4, pause for 2. As time goes on and you've done this exercise multiple times, you'll be able to increase your inhale and exhale time. But for now, we're going to do the 4-2-4-2. Ready? Begin. And you can close your eyes if you feel comfortable or drop your gaze. Okay, very good. The last one I'm going to teach you is called diaphragmatic breath, Most people only breathe from the top of their lungs and neglect the bottom of their lungs. So with this breathing, you're actually going to imagine your belly swelling out like a balloon with the inhale, and then on the exhale, like that balloon deflating and your stomach muscles pulling to the back of your spine. You can put your hands on your belly if it helps, so that you can actually feel that you are expanding and contracting. We're going to Okay, so those breathing techniques, if you just have a short amount of time to take a break, they will help you to calm down and refocus, and you can do it in a short amount of time. So for this seated practice, you can choose whatever breath that you want. I will be doing the ocean breath as I'm doing the postures. The first thing we're going to do is, in our comfortable seat, stretch your hands out. I call these thriller arms, because we're always sitting at the computer and writing, or if you're old school, you might write on paper before you type it. Our hands and wrists get very tired. So we are actually going to give our wrists some stretch and massage some of our fingers. All right, so you can go like this to stretch your wrist. Don't forget to breathe. Massage your fingers. Go ahead and do it, even if you feel silly. We're always serving other people, and we need to take care of ourselves as well. In order to function optimally, we have to be caring for ourselves. All right, switch. Stretch and breathe. Massage your fingers. Get in there really good. All right, now we're going to do a little spinal flexion. On the inhale, you're going to move forward. And on your exhale, you're going to round your spine and your chin to your chest. All right, let's do this for 3 breaths on our own. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale back to center. And we're going to do side twists. So take your right hand, place it on your left knee, and your left hand behind your back. On the inhale, we're going to sit up tall. On the exhale, we're going to twist. Inhale. Exhale. Keep breathing. On your next inhale, come back to center. And move to the other side. Take your left hand, put it on your right knee. Inhale, sit up tall. Reach your right hand behind you. And exhale to twist. Don't stop breathing. Inhale back to center. Now we're going to do a little neck massage. Put your hands on your shoulders and begin to massage. Again, this is something that might make people feel silly, but we hold a lot of tension in our shoulders and in our necks from sitting a long time, from writing, from stress. So take this time for yourself. and give yourself a nice massage. And don't stop the breath. You'll notice that in life when you start to feel anxious, you're actually holding your breath or breathing erratically. So learn to control your breath. All right, did you feel you got a good neck massage? Let's do a stretch that we all did in PE class when we were kids. Take your right arm, cross it over, and pull it gently with your left arm. Never crank anything or force your body to do something that doesn't feel good. That's not beneficial for you. All right, let's breathe. All right, let's switch. Left hand across, right hand pulling. Let's breathe. All right, back to center. Okay, let's take your right hand down to the earth. Your left hand up tall. And stretch to the side. To your own degree. Don't crank it. Okay, round forward through the spine. And take your left hand to the ground. Right hand up tall. And stretch over. Round forward through the spine and come back. Now we're going to do some neck stretches. There are several variations of it, and I'll give you options. All right, put your neck over your right shoulder. You can stay like this if it's a great stretch for you. Or you can put your right hand to the ground. You'll feel a great stretch from your neck all the way down through your shoulders to your arm. If you still need more, you can lift that hand and flex it. Only do what your body wants it to do. And don't forget to breathe. All right, let's move to the next side. Put your head over your left shoulder. You'll also notice that sometimes one side is very different than the other. My left side is very different than my right. And just be attentive to that and listen to your body. Okay, once again, if you think this is a great stretch, you can stay. Or you can put your left hand to the earth, or you can raise it and flex it. This is a good stretch to do while just sitting at your desk too. Take a break and stop writing for a minute and breathe and get some good neck stretches in. All right, come back to center. Now we're going to do something called head to knee pose. Once again, do not crank this stretch. Don't force your head to your knee. I'll give you some variations. All right, stretch your right leg out long. Pull your left leg into your inner thigh. Turn your navel to your right leg. Stretch up tall on the inhale. And then exhale, fold over. You will notice that my head does not come all the way to my knee. And that's fine. I'm comfortable like this. If you are not comfortable like this, you can hold your ankle and be up here. You can bend your leg to meet your body and get a good stretch in your lower back. Whatever you choose, just don't let it hurt. It's not supposed to hurt. All right, we're going to hold this and breathe. All right, on your next inhale, come back to center and switch sides. Left leg out long, right leg to your inner thigh. Turn your navel to your left leg, stretch up tall on the inhale, and exhale, send it on over. Choose the same variation that you chose on the other side, or if it feels good on this side, choose a different one. On your next inhale, come back to center. All right, this is called cobbler's pose, or otherwise known in PE class as butterfly. So you're going to bring your feet together in front of you. And this is where it helps to be on a blanket or a pillow to lift the hips some. You might feel that you're tight in the hips. You might be like this like me, or you might be here. It's okay. Whatever your body can do is fine. All right, in this pose, we are going to first sit up tall, and then we're going to lean over to our own degree. It may be that you just lean this much. It may be that you don't lean at all. It may be that you can put your head to the ground. Whatever is comfortable for you, that's what you're going to do. All right. Ready? Sit up tall and breathe. And exhale, lean over. On your next inhale, rise up to center. All right, this is our last seated posture that we're going to do. It's called cow legs. Bring your left leg like this and your right leg over. The goal is to stack the knees. Do the best that you can. Just like we did in cobbler's pose, we're going to lean over. This will give us a great stretch in the backs of our shoulders and in our lower back and all through the spine. Lean over only to your own degree. It may be that you stay sitting up. It may be that you lean this much. It may be that you can lean all the way over. Just listen to your body. Ready? Let's inhale and exhale, lean over. On your next inhale, let's rise. Unwind, come back to your comfortable seat. Place your hands where they feel comfortable. Close your eyes. Take your head to your right shoulder. Lean over. Inhale. Exhale, round your chin forward to your chest. Inhale, back to center. Exhale, put your head over your left shoulder. Inhale. Exhale, chin to chest. Inhale, head up. Thank you for practicing with me today. It was a joy to share this stress-relieving, creative, juices flowing practice with you. It's my prayer that you feel re-energized, that you feel the stress leave your body, and that you're able to creatively write and to accomplish all that you want to accomplish in your PhD journey. Thank you so much.
Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that practice. I hope it relieved stress and made you feel a little bit better. Go on with your day. We have a lot of time left, so I can answer any questions that you might have about well-being or my physical movement journey or my PhD journey, anything. Somebody enjoyed the bird sounds. Yay.
Heather, are you going to share this video? Would you be willing to share this video?
Yeah, I will. If you find me on social media, I might be brave enough to share it there too. We'll see.
This is David. Do you ever have people who challenge or question integrating yoga or Eastern meditation stretches into with a person who's Christian and that potential conflict? I'm just curious.
Yes. Yeah. And I have read widely a lot of literature about this. And yoga is really not religious. It is a practice of meditation, which I think is really good, even in Christianity. If you read the book of the Psalms, you find where it says Selah, to meditate. So I feel like it's what you do with it as a person. So me, I use it to talk to God. I use it to meditate on what he's saying to me, whereas somebody else from Middle Eastern tradition might use it to clear the mind completely. Yeah, I get that question, but I don't follow it as a religion, but I do use it as time to meditate and to listen to God and to talk to him.
Well, thank you, Heather. I appreciate that because for one, I enjoy running, but one of the worst things I do is stretch and I can't stand it. I'm too impatient with it. So I really like what you did. So I had looked at it as more of like stretching. I really enjoyed the stretches because I have a tendency to stay place too long. So thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I used to hate stretching as well. You wouldn't know it now, but I used to run and I never stretched. Anything else?
So those of us that do hate it, because I am in that category, and I couldn't even touch my toes when I was a 75-pound 7th or 8th grader, and long legs. I never could even do that. And so, what do you recommend then for one of the things you said was it's not supposed to hurt. And I'm like, well, great. I can just sit in my lazy boy then. That's about as much as I can do. Maybe do some, this kind of stretches. But what do you recommend then from getting to where I am, which is nowhere, to, I don't want to be where you are, because I don't think I could ever get there. But just as far as better along and more flexible to go along with the things of the running and stuff that I do, what would you recommend?
Well, I would recommend that you just listen to your body, because there are different variations of every stretch that you can do. Your body's never going to do the same thing as someone else's. And I think that's where people go awry with this, is they see somebody be able to get into this pretzel-y posture and they think, oh, I can do that too. I'm going to make myself do it. And then they get hurt. So like even the touching the toes position, I remember that from PE. I hated that. It just feels like you're bending over and you're reaching for the ground. You can't reach it and everything hurts. In that posture, you can actually bend your knees a lot and make sure that your torso is laying against your knees. And then you're able to touch the ground and you're getting a great stretch in your back and also your hamstrings if they're tight. So, I mean, my recommendation is just to look at different variations and see what your body can do. And over time, you'll increase that flexibility, not to just push yourself into a posture and say, oh, I hate it,
I'm curious, do you do a daily practice, or just what are your sort of logistics around your practice, and what would you recommend for, is this something that you incorporate as a spiritual practice and physical practice? I just want to hear more about that aspect of it.
Yes. So at first it was just physical, because I felt everything in my world just going haywire and my body was manifesting that. And so I started going to my local gym and went to power yoga classes for my very first time. That was very hard. But that's how I started, and I was just thinking of the physical aspects of it. But the more that I went, I found that I was praying through it, and that I was having a spiritual experience with God and getting closer to God and meditating on scripture during it. And I thought to myself, I was like, I would like to do this at home, in my own personal space. And I started incorporating that here every day in my little tiny bedroom, and making it a practice that I do each day. And it's definitely not just physical anymore.
Have you noticed one of the things that intrigues me about the whole idea of embodiment? You know, I tend towards the philosophy side of things, so forgive me if I'm going there, but it seems to me that what I noticed in our time just now was an increased awareness and consciousness of not only my physical body, but of other things that were happening around me and within my context. Have you done any studies or research on that, to just, what is the connection between how this kind of goes with us beyond the moment to increasing our consciousness as thinkers and beers?
You're absolutely right about that connection. It does increase the awareness of what's going on in your own body and your own thoughts and every physical part of yourself. But it also does increase awareness of everything around you, the context. And it may be you're just focusing on the birds singing or what's around you or the wind blowing, but it can reach farther than that. It can reach to the world, other people, your family, if that makes sense. It makes you more aware of those things around you. And I feel like that's also a spiritual aspect as well, especially if you're praying during it and you're meditating on God.
Yeah, it makes me think that from just leadership development, that we sort of do a disservice, that we have to recognize that our modernity, if you will, sort of leads us to a disembodiment stance or orientation towards the world. We distract ourselves with the busyness. I see Micah's.
Yeah, I saw that too.
And that this is a way to sort of re-engage the whole psyche and the whole physical body in a dialogue with what God is trying to teach us, and then into our action. I've worked out with a guy since 1999, and now the discipline of that practice, like if I get in a tough spot, or if I'm only going this far and I need to go this much further, I'll hear his voice in my head. And I just am imagining that that's how you've evolved with your practice. Can you just say a little bit more about how your thinking has changed in relation to the practice?
Oh yeah. When I first started, I remember my very first class laughing at myself because I was pushing myself into these postures and just trying really hard to do what my instructor was telling me to do. And going from that to where I am now, it's been an amazing journey. I've learned to listen to my body, which translates off of my mat to my everyday life, listen to myself when I'm feeling overwhelmed, and to take a break. Listen to myself when I need time with God. Listen to myself when I need to be there for my family. Does that make sense? Instead of just throwing myself into every situation like I did on the mat that first time, that's what I was doing in my life. Instead of that, I'm now more conscious of what I'm doing daily, what I'm filling my time with.
I would love for you to read, you know, me and my books.
Yep.
I would love for you to read a book by Max Picard, P-I-C-A-R-D, on silence.
Okay.
And I'm real intrigued by your practice and how I've observed you growing over time, and just this idea of the savasana, how the silence.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll shut up now because I could talk.
I almost put a savasana in it for you, but I thought, I don't think anybody wants me to lay here for 5 minutes.
Well, I think, Heather, that
Thank
you
you,
need
Heather.
to start a new monastic order that is around this practice. I think that's a
That would be awesome.
And you know, I got a couple of things to say. One, I really appreciate the question that David asked, because it was in my mind too, not from the standpoint of that's something that I believe, but I've had others in my life who have brought that up to say, you know, this is an ancient Eastern, you know, pagan practice, and when you do this, you're praying to this God and all this kind of stuff.
Like,
And
no,
I
I'm not.
came down to the realization that I don't worship something unintentionally. You know, I don't think that worship is something that I do without giving permission. You know, I'm not going to slide into paganism just because I'm shaping my body in a certain way. But the other thing about that is I really believe, and I remember when I was younger reading Richard Foster in Celebration of Discipline, and he talked about meditation, and he talked about the difference between, you know, Eastern meditation and you know, Christian meditation. And he talked about, instead of emptying your mind, you need to focus on something. And he recommended just meditating on a picture of the cross. And that was something that I've used throughout the years, of just times when my mind is going all over the place, just taking that time to stop. And I think what you're talking about here, if you really boil it down, and I believe that God can take anything and transform it for his glory, certainly. So even if it's something that was developed in a pagan context, you know, God can use it for his glory. But really, it's the application of Sabbath that I think that we are so bad at enforcing in our own lives, or practicing in our own lives. And I think that if you can take that time to stop and meditate, to calm yourself, you know, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but on my TV, there's one of the stations I watch, there's this Calm app that they're advertising for your phone.
I love that app.
And the you know, the commercial is just stop and breathe 30 seconds. That's all the commercial is, or 15 seconds, whatever it is. And you know, I think that's important for us to do in this time, is to stop and to meditate and to focus on that aspect of things. The other thing that struck me as you were talking about the idea of holistic health. My father-in-law for years had severe back pain and was just very uncomfortable because of his back, and thought maybe I need to have back surgery and all that kind of thing. And he went to the doctor, and they said, yeah, you need hip surgery. And he said, what are you talking about? My hip's not the issue, my back is. And they said, no, your hip is the issue. The problem is your body has compensated because of this problem that you're having. And because of the pain that started out in your hip that was subtle, your body has adjusted. Now it's thrown everything out of whack. And I think that way too often on a holistic level, there are things going on in our lives, stress and frustrations and pain and sickness that is a symptom of something that we're not even aware of. I think the more we can be holistic in the idea of taking care of ourselves spiritually, emotionally, physically, all of that as well, I think that's good. And I think what you've added to that conversation today is very helpful. So now I will shut up and let somebody else talk, but I think
Thank you very much, Dr. Beard.
Thank you.
I would just add, you know, talking about a monastic order, I think there's something to this. This may be, Chris, a new thing to add to the PhD program, philosophy. And then Chris, what's his name? Chris, heck, I think it's Chris Lowney, Towney, I can't remember, sorry. But he wrote a book about the Jesuits we had to read when I was at Gonzaga. And what I liked about that book is one of the things the Jesuits did is, as part of their practice, they built in sort of a savasana every morning, mid-morning, noon, like 6 times a day. And it was a check-in. It was a time for prayer and meditation. Here's what I thought the day was going to be like. Where am I? What's God saying? And it was a very intentional sort of practice throughout the day that kind of has some merit. I mean, I don't know about you all, but I can get real bad about sitting at a computer for hours and not taking a break or even a breath, hardly. So it just, Heather, this is, you can tell what I'm excited about by what I talk about. Thank you so much.
You're welcome so much.
Yeah, we were, I remember going through my doctoral degree program, and I think it's called, it's the book Fit to Lead. oh gosh, it was written several years ago, but it, covers all the different, like a holistic approach, like, Chris mentioned, making sure that we're taking care of our bodies, our mind, and spirit, and just being very in tune to that. And I'm trying to remember the actual elements that it covered, but it was one of the assigned readings, and it was very very good in terms of that. But also a note with the breathing exercises, I loved how you reminded people to to breathe, because that's one of the things I find myself all the time. If I'm really focused on something, I'm not breathing very often at all. So, and I'm just wondering how much harm it actually does, cutting off all the oxygen or something. But needless to say, I really appreciated that reminder, just to breathe, through those exercises.
Anything else? Okay, no more questions. Thank you
Heather,
all
thank
so
you
much.
so much. It's one thing I love about this journey, and I think that Heather has demonstrated it today. Heather did her research project, as she said. Her dissertation was on ESL teaching and the experience of students that had gone through ESL learning. I read her dissertation several times, and I don't think the word yoga was mentioned one time. And what the reality is, I think that what we found in our PhD program is those students who are working hard on their dissertation are finding ways to be productive and turn new leaves, as it were, finding ways to do new things while you're in the PhD program. And I've always told people the most productive I've ever been in my entire life was the 4 years I was working on a PhD. It was not very productive before that, and it's been less productive since then. And so as students, those of you that are still students, I really recommend to take some time and to learn something new while you're learning something new, because you're already in that mode. And I'm just amazed at Heather, what Heather's done, both academically, but also personally. And it's been such a great honor to have her share with us today. So Heather, once again, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate you all.
So we've got about 25 minutes before, I think that's right. Is that right, John? I'm always looking again here. Yeah, 1:15 Eastern, so 12:15 Central, and whatever that is for your time zone. So we got about 25 minutes before our library session, which is going to be a really important session. John Yeager is excellent about sharing resources from the library. So take some time, get a quick lunch, do some more yoga, whatever tickles your fancy, and we'll see you again. Thanks again, Heather. Appreciate it.